Hey everyone, welcome back for another Sunday drawing group with me, Jason Leeser. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Guy Aitchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Community, where tattooers, apprentices, and collectors are encouraged to join live events, share and inspire, and create better art and tattoos together every day. You might be beaming in from YouTube, you might be on one of the Facebooks, or listening on one of the podcasts. Either way, you can always get the latest event schedules and notifications in the official Reinventing the Tattoo community, which you can join for free, by the way, in case you didn't know that. It's a 100% free community for artists, collectors, tattooers. We all get together and we all collaborate. I met some of my best friends on there. Definitely worth checking out if you're really trying to step your game up. We also have apps, and you can find those both on the App Store, both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Feel free to download it and join up. It's amazing. You can stream live events straight from your phone and tune in. We've had some amazing events so far, such as a historical archaeologist. We've had a philosopher. We've had all types of great people really diving into tattoos, tattooing, the history of tattooing, what it means, how it works, where it's come from, and all of these other great aspects of tattooing. And it's all live, and you can stream it all for free through the Reinventing the Tattoo community. Our goal isn't to keep you addicted to your phone, but I mean, as easy as it is to access that kind of inspiration and awesomeness, it's kind of hard not to put it down sometimes. You're currently watching the Sunday afternoon drawing group with me, Jason Leeser. It's hosted every Sunday at 1 o'clock. On demand reruns can be found at the library in the community, as well as a whole host of other tattoos and art and live streams. It's just like a black hole of tattoo information that just sucks you in. It's absolutely amazing. So definitely check it out. We're beaming out probably somewhere around what, like 5 to 6 or 7 shows a week, roughly one a day, which is amazing. And they're all in the library, so you can always go back through and rewatch them. We've got several live events going on every week, as I mentioned. Obviously, 1 p.m. on Sundays is kind of where I fit in. There's also 9 a.m. tomorrow morning with Jake Meeks from the Fireside Tattoo Network. We also have a Reinventing the Tattoo subscriber exclusive Monday evening 9 p.m. session with Guy himself, where we go through and we work on different aspects of improving our artwork to really try to help take our tattoos and our art to another level. It's absolutely incredible. It's very collaborative, very hands-on. You know, you're interacting with people from all over the country and all over the world. We're all tuning in and we're all moving towards that same goal to make our art better. And what better way to do it than, you know, being around a whole bunch of other people that have different perspectives on what you do. It's absolutely amazing. Uh, we also have the Tattoo Collecting Podcast Thursdays at noon. Definitely worth a gander. It's always incredible to go through and turn into that. I love rewatching them as well. We also have several real world tattoo events coming up. We've got the Paradise Tattoo BYOB. Bring your own brushes, booze, buds, berries. You know, if you're vegan, you know, bring whatever you want. We're going to have some live art going on, as well as a whole host of live webcasting seminars. That's going to be going on October 3rd through 6th. If you have not already gotten a room for that and you want to attend, reserve your room now. Rooms are selling out really fast. The last time I checked, they only had a handful of them left available. So you definitely want to get in on that as soon as humanly possible. November 12th through 14th, we will be at the Brussels Tattoo Convention in Belgium with Nick Baxter, Ivana, and Gabe, who will all be doing seminars live while we are there. I'm trying to figure out like the time difference now so we can get some live streams set up for that as well. July 8th through 10th next year, not this year, not this coming July 8th through 10th, but next year, we have the Rock River Tattoo Art Expo. That is lining up to be absolutely incredible. If you're interested, there's going to be more information to follow on that, but I'm putting the bug in your ear now. That is definitely going to be something you want to look into going to. We also have the Rubber City Tattoo Expo with Tony Urbanek. That's coming up, I believe, next year. I'm waiting on more information from that as well. And then what it's looking like is next year we're going to be going full force again with the Paradise Tattoo Gathering. And that is looking like it's lining up for the 3rd week of October next year. And that's going to be, once again, back full force, tons of seminars, tons of live webcasts. Definitely going to be something that you are going to want to attend and take a look at. I wanted to thank our sponsors, Dermalyze, also known as D-Lyze Pro in the US. If you're still using cling wrap, you need to look into this stuff. It is absolutely revolutionary when it comes down to healing a tattoo. It's designed to help a tattoo breathe and heal twice as fast and way better than ever before. I've used it on some of my tattoos, and it is absolutely incredible. Just the healing time and, you know, just the lack of concern that you have to have about that tattoo after you put that stuff on, because once you put it on, it's basically hands off, right? It's absolutely revolutionary. Raw pigments, which is like, in my personal opinion, the next evolution in tattoo pigments. It's completely acrylic free. It's, you know, it's vegan friendly. It's absolutely incredible stuff. Goes in like butter, and it's super vibrant as it heals. I'm slowly but surely working on changing out, you know, color for color. Every time I run out of a bottle, I'm picking it up from raw. Definitely something I highly recommend if you're really trying to step up your game as far as your black and gray wash, or if you use whitewash, they have a whole whitewash set, or any of the colors that you're currently using. You have got to try these out. They won't dry up in your cap, so no more getting that like crusty film on top if you fill your cap up the whole way. You don't have to worry about that anymore. It stays fluid the whole time because it's acrylic free. Yeah, awesome stuff. Inkjet stencils. If you're trying to take your stencil game to another level, that's where you want to go, right? You can print off high resolution photographs perfectly. If you like doing realistic work, you cannot get a better stencil than if you use inkjet stencils. I know, I've done it. One of the guys I work with has an inkjet stencil printer, and it blew my mind when he was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, we'll do a photorealism half sleeve on you." Cool, yeah. Let me take that image, and okay, I'm gonna erase a couple of the outside parts, maybe make this a little darker or lighter. Boom, print, and he printed it out, and it's flawless. Absolutely flawless stencil. It's a legit photograph that you can put on skin. It's incredible. I also would like to thank Tattoo Education and GuyHSN.com, another one of our sponsors. They've got paintings, tattoo machines, all types of great online seminars there, as well as at Tattoo Now, technology for tattooers. If you're looking for the leading edge in tattoo information, or you really want to learn more about how to execute something in a specific way, take a look at Tattoo Education, GuyHSN.com, and Tattoo Now. That is where you're going to find whatever information you're looking for to really start exploring those other fields. I mean, everything from lettering. BJ Betts has a 3-hour lettering seminar on there that's absolutely mind blowing. He breaks everything down for you. Bob Tyrell, an 11-hour seminar. If you want a tattoo like Bob Tyrell, you need to watch that. It's step by step, detailing his process, talking about everything he's doing and what he focuses on as he's going through and doing it. It's absolutely mind blowing. Highly recommend it. Once again, that's all available at Tattoo Education, GuyHSN.com, and Tattoo Now. Also, like to give a great shout out to our affiliates, the Fireside Tattoo Network. If you do not know about the Fireside Tattoo Network, you are missing out. There is some absolutely incredibly useful information in the Fireside Tattoo Network. Highly recommend you check it out. Jake Meeks, the guy that runs it, has interviews with all types of incredible tattooers that are all going through and giving you a glimpse as far as what is their process like. What are some of the things that they focus on? What are some of the things that, they really try to take into consideration as they're getting ready for a tattoo? It's absolutely incredible information. If you do not know about it, you're missing out 100%. The Apprenticeship Diaries, highly recommend it. If you are a tattoo apprentice or if you are looking to become a tattoo apprentice, you've got to check out the Apprenticeship Diaries. There's more valuable information for you in those apprenticeship diaries than you even know about. They address things that you've never even considered, right? So definitely take a look at the apprenticeship diaries. It is enlightening to say the least. And any tattooer that you meet, well, most of them that you will ever possibly meet, were an apprentice at some point in time. We all have stories. We all have knowledge that we gain through it, and that's part of the reason behind it. I'd also like to thank Eco-Friendly Tattoo Supplies because, I mean, hey, it doesn't want to save the environment, right? Some pretty cool stuff. Definitely take a look at it. Would also like to thank a special thank you to Gabe Ripley for, going through, getting everything on the back end set up. Definitely an influential person as far as this community goes. And I'm also going to take a quick minute to thank Ricardo Sertivant and Tyre Franklin for joining me today. Always a pleasure to have you guys on, and it's always an honor to be able to go through and pick your brains and see what you guys think about some of the things I've been working on. Because as we all know, you can never learn too much, right? You can always reach out to someone that's going to have a different perspective on the way to do things. It doesn't matter if they've been tattooing for a month or tattooing for 30 years. There's always a different way to look at things. And until you reach out to other people and get their perspective on it, you're never going to know. So that's kind of my the end of my opening spiel. So I'm going to take the spotlight off of myself and say hi to everyone. How's it going, guys?
Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon to you too. How have you been?
Good. Very busy. I have Amy coming up tomorrow morning, so I'm trying to
Oh,
get everything
really?
situated. Yeah. So we're having this event Tuesday, June 29th at noon. We're having this apprenticeship event. Amy's coming all the way up here to do it, so it's in person instead of just a Zoom on Zoom, so we get a little more interaction. We're going to be hosting it at my home here, and it's going to be pretty much just talking about apprenticeships and how to access apprenticeships and the way apprentices have changed from 20 years ago to now, especially with all of the internets available to everybody. So it'll be fun.
So essentially, what you're saying is like apprentices nowadays don't have to work the whole day dressed as a pirate?
Yeah,
Because I had to do that.
yeah.
I
That
had
did.
like a little hook hand and everything. I
How
was
did you
only allowed
tattoo?
to address people as "arg, matey."
Hmm.
And I'm not
Yeah.
kidding. I think there's actually a video of that somewhere.
That's
You had
crazy.
videos back in your day?
Yeah, yeah. Back in my day, we used to have to walk 4 miles uphill both ways just to get to the studio so that we could sit down and have to greet people as "arg" like a pirate.
I have to clean all them tubes.
Don't even get me started on scrubbing tubes, dude. I used to have to come in on my day off just to scrub them all.
Wow. Yeah.
Seriously, like it was my day off, and I was still in there scrubbing tubes for 4 or 5 hours at a time.
So do you think, here's a question, because most people, especially mentors, usually use cartridge system now. So if you had your own apprentice, would you still make them scrub tubes?
Oh, yes. In fact, I would just take them out of the sterilization bags that they're currently sitting in and be like, okay, sit down. We're going to go over this because this is tattoo history.
Yeah. Do you think that's vital as far as tattoo history or for actual cleanliness as far as apprentice?
All of the above. I firmly believe that not only is it going to help, them figure out like, okay, yes, this is, a cleanliness factor, but it's also going to end up going through and showing them that, hey, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on in the background. Most people don't ever factor in when it comes down to being a tattooer, right? And that's something that, like, most people think that we just show up and tattoo,
It's
right?
so easy.
And that there's not really too much that goes into the back end of it. But it kind of goes through and shows people that, okay, there's way more going on here, and there's way more setup, and there's way more of everything that goes on in this than I ever imagined. Is this right for me?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to showcase too for my, for my event. Like, I initially wanted to do this event because so many people had already asked me, how you got your apprenticeship, and I can't really answer that because the way I got it is going to be completely different than what any other person is going to get their apprenticeship. So I can't really be like, oh, I got it this way, and this is exactly how it's going to work for you. Unfortunately, it's a journey for everybody. So it's all going to be different. It just depends, truthfully.
Oh, it does. You're right. There are a few proven tactics when it comes down to achieving a tattoo apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And I went through and I took a couple of years proving that true. I went through, and one thing that was always told to me was, if you spend enough time in a barbershop, you're going to get a haircut. Right. And it's the truth.
Yeah. I had the same kind of mentality.
If you go and you invest your time, something will come of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Whether it's learning what not to do, right? Or getting advice on where might be accepting one, or building connections and networks within the industry so that you can get your foot in the door. These are all little aspects that can really take on a life of their own. And it's absolutely incredible to see that in motion. But, it's one of those things where if people aren't willing to invest the time, do they really want it?
Yeah. And I think it's properly showing an apprentice, like, do you really want this kind of aspect of tattooing? Because that was the majority of my beginning, was giving me opportunities or showing me challenges and be like, listen, this is going to happen often. Like, do you still want to do this? It's okay to say no. You can leave. That's perfectly fine. I just want to tell you, this is going to happen often.
Yeah. Like, get used to it.
Yeah.
This is what we deal with on a regular daily basis. If you're not going to get used to it now, you probably should not pursue this as a career.
Yeah. And I think I really wanted to show, especially people in my generation being raised around technology. It's a completely different view of the world than it was before. Like, everything is so accessible to us via telephone that there's not a lot of thought or hard work, quote unquote, put into it, as far as just scrolling through Instagram and seeing just masters throwing out work on a daily basis without thought of the actual time and effort it took them to get to that point. And I think it's so misconstrued that younger apprentices think that, oh, I can do this like soon, when really it's like almost a whole lifetime of work to get to that point of just like pumping out stuff. And I wish before I became an apprentice, I wish somebody drilled that into my head of, hey, you should probably focus on the art aspect of it first, rather than just wanting to be a tattoo artist kind of aspect of it.
Absolutely. And it's something that I can't stress enough. Is there are plenty of people out there that know how to properly execute a tattoo, right? There's plenty of them. And it's one thing to be able to go through and properly execute a tattoo, and it's another thing to go through and know how to be a tattoo artist. There's a very big distinction. And even within that distinction, you have varying levels and varying degrees of being a tattoo artist, right? You can be a street shop artist, make a ton of money, and that's great. If that's what you want, that's awesome. Go live your best life and do what you do. That I totally recommend it, you know. But if you're looking for something more, if you want to play with the big boys, if you want to be in that elite circle, if you want to make the best out of what you do and really push yourself to get to another level, to push yourself artistically, to expand on what you know, a lot of it, number one, is humbling yourself and being able to take a step back and saying, whoa, okay, there's a lot out there I don't know. Let me start exploring this. Let me learn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you completely, man. I think a lot of it, like you said, is a self-reflection thing where you're willing and able to be able to take constructive criticism and be able to take pointers, you know what I mean, and be able to apply it as it's intended, for sure. And I think a lot of people, especially like you're saying earlier, Kier, with your generation, is they do see it. It's a lot more accessible to them. They see it on YouTube. They see a lot more videos and stuff of people laying down these flawless tattoos without the knowledge of how long it's taken for that person to be able to get there and do that. It's a lot of legwork. There's a lot of homework. There's a lot of behind the scenes, like, wear and tear on your own personal schedule.
Yeah.
The time that it takes that you have to invest. You have to love something enough to be able to give everything else up.
And it's not so much that I don't want to like attack my generation either, because we do have a lot of things handed to us as far as technology goes. So learning tattooing and art in general is a lot easier and accessible than it was 10, 15 years ago. But at the same time, it's a more of a mental game for my generation, as far as we have to be certain all the time that, the failures that we have, like when you make a drawing, it doesn't always have to be drawing finalized Instagram. It doesn't have to do that. Like, it's 95% of what I do doesn't end up on social media. Like, it's usually off to the side, or like in the trash, or like handed away. Like, the amount of times that I'm drawing and the amount of times that I'm posting it on social media are vastly, like, the ranges are vastly different. So I think that that's something that needs to be pointed out as well, that it's not all about the social media. It's not all about the internet. It's not all about showcasing who you are. It's just the art itself.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of like a mental game of what is viewed as as a viewer, and who you are as an artist. It's the separation between the two, as an artist and a viewer. I don't know if that's just me.
No, that makes sense.
I agree. I completely agree. 99% of the stuff that I create, no one ever sees.
Yeah.
And that's completely 100% fact. I've got mountains of artwork. Both of you guys have been to my house. You've seen it. Like, I have mountains of artwork stashed away in drawers, in books, in portfolio books. Like, I've got more stuff around here, more or less just because I'm a pack rat and don't like to throw things out. But I like to be able to show people the evolution of what could I do 12, 13, 14, 15 years ago? What was I doing then? And look at where I'm at now.
Yeah, that's
the only comparison.
Yeah, that's go ahead, Kier. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was going to say that's the only comparison you really should be focusing on, not so much as yourself and then another artist that you see on social media. It's you and then the self you were yesterday, and that's it.
Precisely.
Yeah,
the only person you have to compare yourself to is yourself.
Right. Exactly what I was going to say. So don't measure yourself up to other people's standards, or, it's just your standard.
Which is so easy to do in my generation, because we're like really young and we're looking up to these like masters that have already figured it out, and we want to figure it out too. And how can we figure it out? And the only way we can do that is just viewing what they post every single day and keeping consistent. So it's a struggle. And I've talked about this with Kyle on my classes, on how different our generation is as far as growing up with this technology, especially being an artist or an entrepreneur, trying to get yourself out there, but yet always watching the consistency that is, and what consistency you aren't at the same time. So it's keeping mental strength is key. And I wish somebody, I don't know, told me that before I became an apprentice as well. Just like, this is This isn't what you see on Instagram and Facebook. Like, that's just a show. Like, if that's not it. What is it is here now in person, not what you're seeing on your screen, which is such like a conflicted view of life nowadays, especially once again for my generation that was raised with a screen in front of their face. So it's different. It's a different perspective because we trust to the screen that's in front of our face to give us the proper information. But yeah, it's really just what we're perceiving from that screen, I think.
Well, I also think that there are a lot of people out there that are looking to these artists that have been tattooing for, 20, 30 years or more even, that are looking for cheat codes, right? They're looking for like, okay, well, if I study this guy's work, I'll learn how to be this good a lot faster, right? And I can do this. I'll be able to do this stuff in like 2 years as opposed to the 20 that it took this guy, right? And I'll give everyone out there now that might be watching a little inside tip on how to get really good really fast. It's a little cheat code that I picked up about 6 years ago. Work harder.
I knew you were going to say
that's the cheat code. You need to draw nonstop every day. You need to fall asleep with your face in your sketchbook at night.
Stop.
Okay.
Me.
Or you have to have someone available to tell you, Kira, you need to go to sleep right now. And having you sit back and saying, no, I've got like another hour's worth of drawing in me. I know it. Like falling asleep literally in the middle of drawing. If you're working that hard, you're going to advance. If you're not, and you're looking for cheat codes to get better a lot faster, there's only one, and that's work harder than the next guy.
Yeah, that was definitely drilled into me by my mentor I wasn't really working super hard. Like I wasn't drawing every single day when I first started my apprenticeship. And then he kind of just was like, hey man, like you understand that the person next to you is working a lot harder than you. And even when you're working as hard as them, there's somebody next to them that's working harder than they are. So you just need to work as hard as you can and that watch yourself progress in that manner, but understand your limits as well, because you can't, I can't fall asleep every single day suffering and still progress as much as I could if I got a nice 8 hours.
Yeah, you physically need some rest for sure. And that goes without saying.
What's that?
I know. Yeah, well, I guess it depends on your perspective.
That's why they invented coffee, right?
Yeah. And sleep pills.
Yeah.
Jason, what is that lovely little buddy you have there?
This is a tiny little goldfish.
I love
Swimming around. Just keep swimming.
Is that a tattoo that you're doing?
So I'm actually preparing for the Battlefield Tattoo Expo coming up in like 2 weeks. That I'll be working at with both of you. Both of you guys will be there, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
I've got several different flash designs that I've been creating over the past few weeks.
That's awesome. So you're getting some stuff ready for appointments, or you're getting stuff ready for people to come?
Walk-ups. Have that stuff ready.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If nobody gets that fish, I want it so bad. It's so
but wait, there's more.
His little eyes are just like popping out of his head.
Which one?
Look at that. You wanna?
Ooh, that one's fun.
You wanna highlight your screen?
Yeah, I've got some nice flowers here.
Look at that.
Myself. And
There you go.
I'm going to switch over to this guy.
Look at that, Jason. That looks killer, man.
So I've got some flash designs set and ready to go with like some nice value shading in them.
Hey, man. Awesome.
Yeah, just fun stuff that I'm going to print out on some cardstock and go through and essentially just say, hey, like this stuff's up for grabs. Who wants it, right? Give people a deal because it's like super fun stuff that I want to tattoo.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, I'll do these for a steal, but like I got like, a little onamori, which are like Japanese good luck hanging tags and good luck charms. So I've got myself like a nice little goldfish there, little flower guy. There's another little flower. And that's just one sheet that I've got together that I've been drawing up over the past couple of weeks.
Man,
You can
that's
see
awesome.
like different sketches I've been doing, trying to get some stuff together. I've got a few other ones on here that they're pretty much ready to go. So I've got like another little dragon guy. That one's going to be a lot of fun.
I dig the frames around them, man.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I got like a
love
little
that
chrysanthemum
sketch.
there. That one's set and ready to go. I'm trying to get like two more together, so I'm going to do like another little goldfish. And then I'm still debating on the other one. I might do a snake or a turtle or a frog. Haven't decided yet. Might do like a little like a traditional Japanese frog. That one will be fun. So
Be cool to see a little frog playing in video games or something like that.
well, I was thinking about trying to draw up a frog eating like a bowl of ramen or yeah, or like a samurai frog. I thought that would be cool. But that
Nice.
wouldn't really fit inside like, the good luck tags. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still playing with ideas for that one. Just kind of sketching around, but
Hey,
yeah.
we have somebody new joining us today, Matthew.
Okay.
Oh, Matt Jackson, what's up, man?
How you been?
I've been all right, man. How are you?
Good. Can't complain.
Awesome. Well, we did just have a great question pop up in the YouTube chat from Casey. A very enlightening question and very intriguing as well. Casey says, have any of you ever had to leave a shop or situation that you found to oppose your professional integrity? Was it hard?
Absolutely.
Was there fallout?
Yeah. In my first shop, we all walked out on the owner, so that is a thing.
Yeah.
So yes, it does happen.
Matt?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I definitely have. The first studio that I apprenticed at, we had a really bad falling out. I had to leave there in order to kind of grow, and stuff was just not healthy there. How they ran things, really unprofessional. Ended up being a lot better. I wanted to travel. They weren't going to let me do that. Wanted me to work 12-hour shifts every time, and just wasn't good. It's very unhealthy for everyone there.
Yeah, Ricardo?
Oh, I mean, yeah, it's a tricky one, right? It boils down to where you feel comfortable, what you take into consideration for your values if they're not being met. Sometimes you can, try to talk to the person that is in charge and try to bring it up in that sense where it's like, okay, so these are the issues that I'm having, and can we at least address them to see if there's going to be something that can change? I think it's best to just be upfront and straightforward about it if you can, if it's a possibility before you rash decisions.
Yeah, that's super important. It always comes down to your own self-worth for yourself. Like, especially as an apprentice and stuff, you kind of put up with a whole bunch, but at the same time, you shouldn't just say, yes, I'll put up with this just to get the end result. Sometimes
Right.
the end result may not happen, and that's when it really sucks.
Yeah.
So I went through something, not that I like to speak negatively, which is why I'm not going to mention the place, any individuals involved or anything like that. But I was at a situation at a studio a little while ago
I don't think so.
that I ended up leaving from that. It was not a healthy environment. The one of the reasons why I left was one of the people in charge just had a pretty much toxic personality. And they just weren't a good person to be around, and it was it was tough to do that because I had some clientele that would, I think they might still go there looking for me to this day, but I just had to get out of there. It was a bad situation. Everything was being run poorly and it just wasn't a good place to be. Yeah, there's going to be fallout when, especially if someone ends up getting butthurt, over the fact that you're leaving, there's going to be fallout, but at the end of the day, is it going to be the best situation and the best option for you to go through and pursue a healthy career in a healthy studio in a positive environment that's going to encourage you to grow, not just as a human being, but somewhere that reflects your morals, your values, and your ethics, right? Over time, that's going to serve you way better in the long run than staying in a place with a steady clientele. If you're even a halfway decent tattooer, you're going to develop a steady clientele no matter where you go. I could pick up and move to Illinois tomorrow, to go and work with Ricardo, where I literally have no clientele. No one knows me. No one's even heard of me out there, right? Except for maybe Ricardo, but that's only because he lives under a rock. The same rock as me, which is awesome, but two different locations, quantum theory and multiple
Rock
places.
and roll.
You know how it goes.
Rock and roll.
But anyway, so
Yeah.
I know no one out there, but I could go out there knowing that Ricardo reflects the same ethics and integrity that I do, and I could establish a clientele base in that area.
Yeah.
So is there going to be fallout no matter where you go or what you do? Absolutely. You form bonds with people anywhere you work for any kind of length and time, right? Whether they're good or bad, you still develop those bonds and those relationships. And yeah, people aren't going to want to see you leave, especially if, it's the owner of a studio and they're relying on your income to keep that place open. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of fallout and they may trash talk you. They may try to ruin your reputation, but that's a reflection on who they are as an individual. Any decent human being will turn around and say, you know what? I hope they find what they're looking for.
Right.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I wish them the best of luck in life. I just really hope that they find what they're looking for. And if it's not here, it's not here. And that's a shame, but they'll find it somewhere.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jason. You know what I mean? I think I was just reading something somewhere that, what was it? A lot of people try to avoid conflict. And you hear that word conflict, and you automatically think that it's going to be this big negative thing. You know what I mean? But conflict is something that you need to be resolved. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I think that's Matt.
Okay.
Oh, there you
Okay,
go.
there we go. Yeah, but like I was saying, that word conflict has a negative connotation to it. And I think that there needs to be, if there's going to be any kind of growth between two people or relationship of any sort, especially with a work relationship, there has to be some kind of conversation about if there's an impediment in that road that you're taking together. You know what I mean? And so you have to be able to resolve it with conversation. So you got to kind of just sit down, write down a pros and cons list about what it is that's going on in the scenario, and then address them as comfortably as you can and try to make it to where you can communicate and receive their opinion as well. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, Mark just made a comment on one of the Facebook pages. He said, happy people will produce a better product. I could not agree more. The more positive the environment that you're in, the better of a quality product and the more passion and excitement you're going to have every single day.
Bingo. Good call.
Of course, unless I'm working next to Matt Jackson, and then I'm just going to get depressed because he's got way too much talent for his own good.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
You do, man.
I'm gonna
You're
keep
insanely
my
talented.
muted because I'm in the studio and they're not doing music on. So
Is that so we can't hear them scream?
exactly.
Are you in space?
I was letting them know that I was
Pigs
keeping the
in
mic
space.
muted because music.
But that's a dude. You're at the studio. We kind of expect some background noise. So
I kind of have to scoot in a little bit. Can I just show what I'm working on? Maybe get some input.
absolutely. Let me spotlight you.
Hot dog. Okay. I'm not screen sharing, so I'll just flip it around. Hopefully, everybody can kind of see it. I'm making this for somebody special's birthday that's coming up soon, but I kind of needed help on this flower that is behind this frog. I don't want it to distract the main subject. The main subject is the frog, okay? So let me see if I can. Stupid glare. There we go. So I got this like flower behind it, and I don't know how well anybody can really see it.
Yeah, I can see it. I think it looks like a solid composition. I mean, so far you can tell everything that's going on there. I think what it needs at this stage is probably some difference in line weight, some variations.
Yeah, I'm doing that now. I just wanted to make sure that the kind of like I'm kind of doing it on like this side, kind of like making the frog jump a little forward, and then his hand is going to be pretty thick around the outline just to show that it's coming forward. But as far, I just didn't want that flower that's in the background to be too involved, if that's a thing. I don't know.
That was going to be my only recommendation on it. Is if you really want the emphasis to be on that frog, then why is that flower so big?
I knew you were gonna say some stuff like that, Jason.
I'm just pointing out things, right? Imagine that frog was like 30% bigger, right? And where the flower was like 25, 30% smaller in the background.
Yeah, I could easily fix that.
Right? Where would that put the emphasis?
Yeah, on the frog more.
You know what I'm saying? You know, you always want your primary emphasis point to be the biggest aspect, to be upfront, to be in your face, right? That needs to be the focal point. As it is right now, I find even though you've got your layers, your foreground, middle ground, and background beautifully set up as far as your composition goes, it's beautifully set up. But I feel like the size of the flower is taking away from that frog.
Yeah.
Right? Because the flower is so big, you can't help but stare at it. You know, if you really want that emphasis on the frog should be bigger, the flower should be smaller in the background to really bring your eye into the frog so that that takes up the majority of the space.
Yeah, I think I was thinking more that I wanted the frog to make sense in the environment. So I wanted him to sit on the flower, and the only way to do that realistically is to have the flower bigger than the frog. But you're right, it does take away from the main composition. And it kind of takes away the direction of the frog because his little hand is reaching out forward. So that gives away for that foreshortening that's supposed to be happening too. So
that hand is one of the coolest aspects of that frog, reaching forward and out like that.
Yeah.
Being able to get that depth is what's going to make that the coolest.
Yeah, so even if I made the flower smaller, it wouldn't take away from the fact that the frog is sitting on top of the flower, is like sitting on it kind of thing.
Right.
So I'll do that.
And then the other thing you can do too is once you situate that flowers, you can kind of silhouette some of those petals. You know, the further back they are, the more silhouetted they can be, the more muted down they can probably be to kind of like, you know, put a little bit more focal point on some of those highlights that you might put on the skin of the frog and stuff like that too.
So would you color outline them or would you still black outline them?
I think it depends on if you put a background or not. If you have a background, then you can probably color outline them.
I wasn't thinking of doing any sort of background.
Like the background could even be just loose if you wanted it to be, but if you don't, then I would definitely outline them. That way they kind of stay separate from that white background.
Maybe even go for that blurred, soft edge background.
There you go.
Get more depth.
There you go. That'd be even better. Yeah, that's even better of an idea.
You could always keep a, depending on the types of outlines that you like to do, because you know me and I enjoy doing black outlines around everything. But maybe even add a negative space line around it and keep your colors in the background more washed out.
around the whole composition or
around the frog,
around
just
the
to
frog?
separate that from the flower and create that aspect of separation.
You know, Jason, you're right, man. I always forget about that. Like, I always see it in your work, and like for me, I'm always like, okay, so how do I establish this separation? And a lot of the times, it's like contrast and value. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
Well, I'll show you the perfect example of that too, right? And it's something that I just came across with like one of those flash designs I was working on.
Yeah.
You'll notice in this dragon, right? I was having a lot of problems because in the previous version I did of this, which I believe is actually down here. No, I deleted it, which is odd for me, but I did. I was having a lot of problems with the separation of this arm and hand in the foreground coming
Yeah.
out of the frame, and how that was just, no matter the thickness of the outline I put on it, it was just blending in too much with the body. So I had to find some way to separate that out. So what I ended up doing is going back through and creating this negative space line around it to really help push the separation in conjunction with a nice big bold outline around this whole hand and arm. And that really ended up doing the trick and just separating it enough and pushing this area of the body back a little bit further, just enough so that I could still get that separation in there. And you could still tell that it was two different objects.
right.
You know, sometimes that's all it takes is like, just like a white line, or even like, you know, a 10 or a 20% opaque gray line, just to separate out something, to really help push that contrast and separate it from everything else.
Yeah, that's killer, man. Your designs, like each one of those designs you have ready for the convention, they're solid. They're just solid. And I think that negative space that you're talking about right now helps kind of contribute to that. You know,
Absolutely.
it keeps it clean. It keeps it like looking like a razor, like a laser beam, freaking laser beam.
What I appreciate is that you use colored negative space, where a lot of people would use like the skin tone as the negative space, or like a lot lighter of a color, like almost a white. But even in that like tiger dragon print that you had sent over, you even used like halfway, you'd use like a super yellow line, and then it would transition to a pink negative space, and then transition back into like another yellow negative space. And I appreciate that you do that. I see that, Jason.
I put a lot of time into that painting, a lot of time.
It's
I
a
can
killer
tell.
painting. Man. It's a killer painting.
I just feel bad for anyone that gets a copy of it, because it's going to cost you so much to get it framed. It's ridiculous. I probably should have made it smaller.
In the words of Keir Franklin, you know what, pal? It's worth it.
Did I say that?
I'm saying.
I mean, I'll take your word on that, but you know, I always hate making artwork for people and then having them be like, "Oh, this is amazing, man," and you know, I got it at a super great price, but now I have to buy a custom frame for it because it's a really weird non-standard size, and I don't know if I want to frame it now because that's going to cost me a whole bunch of money.
My frame didn't cost a lot. Like just a
Really?
temporary frame before, until you save up the money to get a nice frame for it, isn't that bad. Like people are just making excuses, man, for great art. Like just god dang.
And I'm not saying you have to put it in like a museum quality frame that costs, you know, $4,000, but
No, mine was like $35.
So we don't have to find a frame from Tiffany's?
Yeah.
no. I mean, if it's hand carved, great, but I mean, doesn't have to be. You know, I would prefer that it's in a sterling silver or 24 karat gold frame, you know, that's solid, but you know, I know that there's not too many of them
course.
out there.
Beggars
Yeah.
can't be choosers, Jason.
Be protected light.
Actually, this would be a really, really great time to kind of plug someone that I met over quarantine. He actually owns a custom framing business down in Laredo, Texas. He runs a company called Laredo Frame Factory, and it's where I get a lot of my frames made. And I'll pull that up. real quick. He's got like an Etsy store and everything. There it is.
Yeah, the frame that you have made for by him at your house, man, it's killer. Super awesome piece.
Where is, there it is. Yeah, so they're all handmade. They're all like 3-tier solid wood frames. Some of them are a little pricey, but some of them are absolutely gorgeous. Like I've got one of these and it's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It was really affordable too. I know the owner of the studio I work at has a few of, maybe it's on the next page.
I mean,
think
if
he
you really
has a
think
couple
about
of
how much we
these.
charge people for filigree tattoos, and then you look at these frames that they literally carved the filigree into, look at the
Right.
prices. I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
that is so like affordable.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
man.
that is wicked.
Those are beautiful.
That's a killer point.
And they're all handmade and they are built to last, man. They are solid frames. I remember talking to him about that actually, and about how do you get the symmetry in each individual part of it, right? Is it all like laser cut? Is it milled out? Like what? How do you do that? Some of it is molded, so some of it is like almost like a wood pulp molding that they'll go through and they'll put like a mold down and basically affix that to the frame. Some of it is, you know, really legitimately hand carved, hand beveled, hand created every time. I think we've got a couple of these hanging up in the studio I work at, and they're absolutely gorgeous. What you have to understand though is that the pictures can be very deceiving, right? From the outside edge of this frame to the interior opening is 7 inches wide on
Wow.
each side.
Incredible.
I think this is actually a 4-piece gold leaf frame, but they're all hand finished, solid wood. They'll go through and hand carve the bevels in them. They'll hand carve like anything else that needs to be done in that aspect. I actually own several of these style frames. And these are all hand carved, and you can see the imperfections and how they're not perfectly symmetrical, which gives it that handmade kind of look. They're absolutely incredible, and they're very, very reasonably priced. From what I understand, sometimes he'll even do discounts if you order more than one at a time, right? Because he's saving on shipping, so he'll transfer that discount onto you. And I mean, I usually order from him 2 or 3 times a year. I'll get 4 or 5 frames at a time, and I'm like, wait, how much is that? That's cheap. I think I ordered 7 frames last time, and it cost me less than $600. And they're all big frames. So, I mean, less than $100 a piece when it averages out.
You know, and to go into what Casey was saying too, is like you're also helping support somebody that does this because they have, it looks like it's, and you can kind of plainly see that they have a passion for it too. Like that's their thing. You know what I mean? They've invested some time and effort into this. So why not?
They've been
Respect their
doing it
art
for
and
like 40,
contribute to
50
it.
years.
Got it, boss. Exactly. Well said, man. Yeah,
The appreciation of the craftsmanship.
exactly.
Art is art is art.
Right.
It is.
Yeah.
So have you guys been seeing in the news and stuff about the redneck rave? Y'all see anything in the news about that?
No.
The thing went down on Kentucky. There was like 48 arrests. Guy got his throat slit. Dude got impaled.
Yikes.
Yeah. Well, anyway, last time I was on here with you guys, I was talking about doing that mobile tattoo shop at that new shop I just got into. Well, we decided that was going to be our first event. We were going to go down there and test it out. Well, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna badmouth anybody. All right. That's not what this is. All right. I'm just gonna relay to you guys kind of, a little bit of what was occurring that I didn't think was professional, that I could provide professional tattoos to people. All right. So we get down there. Now we went up to Michigan, got this huge generator to be able to power this big old MRI unit. Okay. Unfortunately, the electrician wasn't able to wire it in. We assumed, those in charge assumed that we'd be able to just power it off a generator and run some mobile AC units and we'd be fine. Unfortunately, that didn't work right. Okay. Anything we plugged into went down. Matter of fact, first tattoo I did in the tattoo shop, halfway through the lights went out and I had to finish it by a cell phone flashlight.
Dang.
Yeah. But that can't, you never know exactly what's going to happen. No one can be faulted for that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point of the first one, figuring out what's not going to work and what will. Well, as the days go on, man, I don't know if you guys were paying attention to the heat wave last week, but it got really, really hot down in Kentucky. So as far as like mudding and all that stuff, it wasn't really so much mud as it was a dust bowl. A lot of people were kind of likening it to being overseas in Iraq in the way the dust and stuff was up over there. Now, if you've ever been around dust like that, it gets in everything. It gets in everywhere. It finds any hole and it will cover everything. Like just an inch thick, layer of dust 5 minutes after you clean something. Okay. Now, from the time that it takes me to set up my station, okay, which is a little more difficult because we didn't have everything wired up correctly. So we couldn't level the trailer. So we're on a complete slant. So if you move your feet, you roll across the shop. Which was funny at first, but after about 45 minutes of holding your ab muscles so that you don't roll across the shop, it becomes, a task. On top of it being 105 degrees in there.
Right.
Okay. Now, the time it would take for me to set up my station, to put the stencil on, to get back to grabbing my machine, I would have a layer of like dirt covering my stuff. Now, I've got the opportunity to be around some really anal retentive people that are very into cross-contamination and, cleanliness and professionalism. And they've kind of ingrained a certain amount of, I guess there's always going to be a margin, but if you're carrying out proper habits and doing all the proper things, you limit that margin and all that,
Right, but it's
if
that
you're doing
standard that was instilled.
Yes. Yeah. And at some point you have to realize that you're opening up people's bodies to all these foreign things that are in the air and all over my equipment and all that stuff. Is this something that is really worth me risking someone's health over versus making a little bit of money to recoup the money that was spent?
Right.
I understand that money was invested, a substantial amount of money was invested for that vendor spot. But at the same time, like, I don't feel that is my client, these people that are wanting tattoos faults. They don't have the understanding that this is an open wound. Even if I throw a Sanoderm on there afterwards, the entire time I've been tattooing you, there's been dust landing on them. Like when you're wiping and you're getting more ink or you're getting more dirt and stuff on your paper towel than you are ink and blood, that's a little beyond what I thought was okay, within the margin. But unfortunately, I had to make a call, and that's why the first comment that I made was, have you guys ever been in a situation where you had to put, kind of your principles in front of definitely the situation I was in was probably one of the worst situations I could have been in, because someone else pulled my camper down there. Once this went sideways, I didn't think that my camper would be getting back here by the same means. You know, I have my family, my children down there. You know, it was definitely a very stressful situation. On top of, you know, I'm supposed to be here to provide art, you know, provide tattoos to these people. You know, that it just didn't really give me that environment, you know, which really sucks because I thought the concept was very sound. You know, maybe just that wasn't the event for us to do, maybe. I don't know.
I think that has something to do with it. I mean, with anything that you're trying out for the first time, yes, there's going to be issues that you encounter, right? That's a given.
Absolutely.
You're always going to encounter problems that you never even imagined could come about. So that's automatically going to factor into it. Yes, there was a substantial amount of money involved. My personal opinion is that no amount of money out there can ever replace the integrity that you have. Right? Nothing is beyond that. And people
Right.
that want you and push you to compromise your integrity, right? And let's define integrity for people that might not really know. Integrity is doing the right thing even though no one is looking. You know, it's doing the right thing even in the face of adversity, even when no one will ever find out about it, right?
Yeah,
It's still
absolutely.
sticking to your morals and doing that right thing. Why? Because it's the right thing. And that's what matters, you know? And it's when someone is pushing you to compromise your integrity and your ethics, that's where I turn around because I've been in that position before. You know, that's where I would personally turn around and say, is this someone that I want to have in my life?
You know, and that was one of the things that really sucked, man, because up until that point, you know, there had been a couple things that I, you know, might have been red flags to me, but generally, you know, I thought that I'd found, you know, a good place with some good, you know, potential and some really good people. And there are some amazing people over there, you know. Unfortunately, that's not where I, you know, am going to be, you know.
Right.
And, you know, it's not that I wish them all the best, you know, like I hope that you guys get everything figured out and, you know, things, you know, blossom for you guys because, you know, in concept, I think the concept and the theory was sound. There were some issues with execution. There was definitely some issues where communication completely broke down. And, you know, I'm one of them people that no matter how hard things get, like I'll rock through it with you as long as you communicate with me, as long as you know,
right,
are respectful to me. As soon as I think that I am not you know, like I am not a part of what is going on or that I am just that I'm just an afterthought, you know, because there was only 3 of us down there. And even after it was all said and done with a whole day of me refusing the tattoo, I still think I did the most tattoos out of the whole shop. But, you know, that was after I'm sitting there fighting with myself because I was arguing with myself the whole time. Like, I really don't want to be tattooing in this kind of, you know, the way things work. But, you know, I did feel a hot commitment at first, but, you know, once that communication broke down, I no longer felt that, you know. I felt, well, if this is what it's going to be, then I need to be sticking to what I, you know, been taught and what I value, you know. And
absolutely, man. I applaud you for making that decision.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not an easy decision to make. When
I had
you
my kid right there
stand to
watching,
profit
man.
outrageously from it, but you have to compromise your integrity, that is a very difficult decision for anyone to be put in. And so I applaud you, man. I really do. I think that was very commendable of you.
Well, I want to set an example for my kids, man. I have both my kids down there. My boy, you know, he's 15. And, you know, I don't want him to go through life compromising what he gets taught just because people have him in a position where he will either lose out or he'll have to make that hard call. You know, I want him to see what I did in that situation and be, you know, strong enough to make that same decision if he ever has to. And I pray he never has to, you know, because this has cost me financially. This has cost me, you know, people that I was beginning to call friends. You know, my woosah is gone, man. Like, and I'm trying to hold on to it, you know, and it's a difficult situation, man. That's why I was kind of seeing, you know, if y'all had went through something like that.
Absolutely, man. So one thing I always remember, well, try to remember the best I can in every situation like that, is that, okay, this might have fallen. This might have fallen apart. It might not have come to fruition. You know, were there breakdowns in communication? Absolutely. Doesn't mean that, you know, you can't find other people to go into it and do it again. It doesn't mean that it's totally lost forever, right? There's always going to be another opportunity. The question is, where's the silver lining? What advantage can you pull out of this? What good can come of this situation?
I learned a lot of things that don't work with a mobile tattoo shop.
There you go.
And that is critical.
You know, my dream hasn't changed. I've always, dude, since I was 14 years old, I've always had that vision of having a mobile tattoo shop that I could go to all these different events, you know, because I remember when I was kids, I'd go to these concerts and I'd see these guys tattooing out of their vans, man, you know, tattooing these rock emblems and these different things on there, man. My mama was kind of a groupie, you know.
Awesome.
Got pictures of me at Def Leppard concerts when I was 3 years old, backstage, buddy.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But you know, and that's when I first started seeing tattoos. You know, I grew up around all that, you know, bikers and all that stuff, and you know, that's what I kind of wanted to be involved in. You know, going out there, and you know, a lot of them bikers are getting older, so the skin ain't gonna be the prime, you know, real estate anymore. But hey, you know what? You know, those guys have been doing that 40 something years. You know, they got some really cool stories. I like to hear that stuff when I'm tattooing. Maybe that's just me, but you know, I always had a. Go ahead. I wasn't trying to cut you off.
I was just saying, I didn't mean to cut you either. I agree. I love stories like that from people. It's great.
Yeah, man. I've always been in traveling, or you know, I've done the hobo thing. I went across the country like 7 times. Rode a bicycle halfway across it. Been up to Alaska. You know, I like meeting people and hearing different stories, man. You know, different people live different lives, and I think the most honest interaction you ever have with a person can occur in the middle of a tattoo, because I believe a lot of people let their guards down. You get to see the real person that, you know, is there, because when you're getting, you know, you getting stuck, you know, there's a biological, you know, chemical reaction going on in your brain. You know, I think a lot of our daily facades get dropped. You know, we're more realer people, if that makes any sense at all. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
It makes perfect sense. It's actually psychologically true, even when you're in a vulnerable position, to kind of drop that guard, that mask. Where, for sure, man.
Well, it's also a very intimate experience, right?
Absolutely.
Because you have someone that's there that's trusting you to permanently alter the way that everyone sees them. That's intimacy, man. You are there, and it doesn't matter what part of their body you're tattooing. Could be the outside of their upper arm or their forearm, could be their finger or hand, you know, could be their sternum, could be their butt, who knows? But either way, you are permanently altering the way that other people will view them for the rest of their life. That's intimate.
Well, you got to think, a lot of people look at, you know, sex with another person as intimacy. Okay. Now think about this. The average person, all right, has, let's say, 10 sexual partners in their life. Let's say, you know, very low average number. You know, I'd hope most people have more. I don't know. Maybe I should hope less. You know, you meet that first person, get married, whatever. Anyway, I don't know what the average number of tattoos on people are, but there's some people that they only have one tattoo. Okay, so that one interaction with you is going to stand out and be more intimate than, you know, the spaced out 10 people that they've intimately been with. You know what I mean? Does that
Yeah.
make any sense?
Yeah, it does.
I think- Go ahead.
No, varying degrees of relationship or intimacy depending on the relationship for sure, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You
Absolutely.
know, you can meet a stranger and feel connected to them because there's that vibe that you have with them, and you can feel like you can talk to them and they get you. Like kind of like right now with you talking to Jason and I about what him and I talk about quite a bit. You know what I mean? The same exact thing, dude. So this is awesome.
I'd love to get on here more, man, but I was working 7 days a week, dude, and trying to do all the stuff at the house. Like
Yeah.
I'd planned on trying to be on here more because I was drawing, and then like I was literally getting slammed with 11, 12 tattoos a day, man. Once I
Dang.
got over there, and it was, you know, it was great. Like I was loving being back into that production flow, but at the same time, it was like, man, I came over here because I wanted to focus on, you know, certain aspects of my art, and didn't really quite get around to doing it, but
You know,
definitely getting back to it.
that's good to hear. And I got to go back to what you said about making that choice and what Jason was saying about that choice, man. I think what happens is that you find yourself in a position that's less of a beaten path than what you're used to. You know what I mean? And you have to make decisions on your own on which way you're going to go, left or right. You're going to take the left fork or the right fork. You know what I mean? And that can cause a lot of I don't know, question in the motive behind like your decision. You know what I mean? But I think you did the right thing, man. And I think personally, I find whenever I'm in that spot, I think I'm doing the right thing. You know, because it's a new area. It's a new area for me, man. It's a new way of approaching things, and it's a new way that you have to develop in order to understand what's happening around you and what you want to happen for your life. And when you're talking about your son and stuff like that, and you know him seeing you as the example, I think that alone is like the best decision you could have made, no matter what happens afterwards. You know, because I have 2 kids too, man, and it's important for them to be able to see. You know, how you view things and be able to pass that down to them. So I think that's important. And, you know, when it comes to these things that you're talking about with like meeting people and the fact that some of these people only have a couple tattoos, and it's all opportunity. You know, whenever we encounter another individual, it's like we're all like antennas, we're all beacons, and we can share that energy, man. And it's fucking cool when you meet a person for the first time and you can just talk about everything.
Yeah, man. I love that. That's dude, there's so many different careers and different things that I could do that, you know, aren't like tattooing, but tattooing gives me that opportunity to get all those different things that I think like my soul needs to be okay. Because when I'm not tattooing, dude, like I even tried doing this gaming thing for like a year, man. I reclused myself because I'd had an issue, man. I had to run a guy was sexually assaulting girls in a tattoo shop I was working at. It made news. But I ran him out of Gas City, and then I ran him out of Florida because I knew people down there. But after that, I'm like, all right, dude, that's it. Like I'm good on tattooing. I can't deal with this. And I kind of reclused myself off for about a year. And dude, I at the end of it, man, like I felt like I died inside. You know what I mean? And like I'm seeing, you know, I've got really good friends that are doing great things in the industry, man. I don't know if you guys know Billy Guns. He's up in Rockford. He's one of the guys that really, you know, when all this stuff was going down, I got a chance to talk to him. I got a chance to talk to John Pence. He's been tattooing for like 30 something years. And, you know, at the end of the day, like when I was trying to process everything, because I know that my mentality comes from a mentality of someone that I was a knucklehead, man, in my 20s and before. Like dude, if you look up knucklehead in the dictionary, there was a picture of this ugly face right here. Okay?
That's why you look so familiar.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
right?
knew I saw you somewhere before,
Webster
man. I
still
knew
owes
it.
me
I
money
couldn't
for
put my
that
finger
headshot.
on it. That
Yep.
makes total sense now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking it up for myself too, man. There you are.
Yeah, man. And you know, that was my wife keeps telling me it. Maybe I kind of don't give it as much validation as I should, but she keeps telling me how proud she was of me in the middle of that, because I ain't gonna lie, everything in me wanted to deal with it once, you know, one type of way once things got said. you know, and that's the way that I generally dealt with things for a lot of years. But like I said, my kids are right there. You know, this is not, you know, if I'm wanting to go to bat for my professionalism, then this isn't going to be professional dealing it with it that way, you know? And then I had to tell myself, well, what would these dudes that I know have been in the industry, you know, would they just stand by for this? Would they just take it, you know? And that's where I finally just drew the line, you know? And now that we are all extricated and everything, I'm kind of figuring out where I'm on. My buddy tells me he thinks that I should start doing the circuits, trying to do the convention circuit stuff like that, because of the people that I'll meet and, you know, the opportunity to be around better artists. But I'm not sure if that's the route I'm going to go or not.
Convention circuits can be very, very, very beneficial.
Yeah.
It's, you know, amazing what you can learn just by going and watching other people.
Mhm.
I will say for more of like a social aspect, they can get to be very cliquey. And you'll have like a whole bunch of guys that are all friends with each other, and they're going to go off and have dinner by themselves and not interact with anyone. They're not going to be social. They're not going to venture around. They're just going to stick to their little area, do their little thing. And that's fine.
Yeah.
When I get to a show, man, I'm a social butterfly. I'm going to try to walk around. I'm going to try to talk to and say hi to every single person I meet. The people that work to the left and right of me or across the aisle from me, I'm going to go over and shake their hand and say, hey, how's it going? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, right.
My name's
Network,
Jason.
man.
I work out of Philadelphia. Like, you know, I'm, you know, I'd love to take a look at your portfolio, maybe even get a little tattoo done by you while we're here if you have time.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
meeting people like that, dude, is amazing. I met some guys from Greece at the Philly show one year, right? First time ever in the US, first time ever working at a show ever, and they chose Philly. Why? I have no idea. But like the Philadelphia show is the most massive tattoo convention I've ever been to. And I've been to some all over the world, some of the, you know, highest end shows you can ever imagine, and they are tiny by comparison. Okay. At the last Philadelphia tattoo convention held in the early part of 2020, I think it was February of 2020, they had over 2,000 artists and vendors.
Damn.
Just to put things in perspective, the last time the London Tattoo Convention was held, there were 450 artists.
Damn.
Just to put things in perspective. Okay. Obviously, at a show that big, you're not going to be able to get around and shake everyone's hand.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
That's going to
hands.
happen. Yeah. And I wouldn't want to touch that many germs.
All right. Know where those hands have been.
But I got to network with a guy that works out of LA that was working right across the aisle from me, who I've kept in touch with, and he's invited me out for guest spots. And he's like, dude, if you ever want to come out here and work for like a week and take a vacation, you're more than welcome to. I'd love to have you on, you know. And it's like, whoa, okay. Like I met this guy once, and he's like, yeah, if you're ever in town, come and say hi. Which, by the way, Christine Freezer, I believe, I'm sorry, I butchered the pronunciation of your last name, on one of our Facebooks, just said, love this idea. If you're ever in Milwaukee, look me up.
Nice.
So that's someone that, you know, we've barely interacted with, that's saying, hey, come take a look. Let's hang out, right? There are going to be social people at every show you meet. And those social people are going to be those people that are going to have that same kind of mindset, right? They're the ones that are going to be there, that are trying to either expand their network and share information and help everyone advance.
Each
But
one
those are the
teach
people
one.
that are going to be more open to hearing about stuff and to listening and to helping everyone go through things, right? But there's also going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be very cliquey. You know, I think conventions are great as far as building more of a national clientele base, you know, but that doesn't necessarily always help you out when you're at home.
Right.
You know, so it can be great if you want to build that kind of a reputation across the country. But
it's
I know an artist that was internationally recognized. You know, everyone's probably heard his name, which is why I'm not going to bother mentioning it. But he told me one year he did something like 28 tattoo conventions.
Man, the whole lot
That
of commitment.
means just about every other weekend he was traveling. He's like, it destroyed my relationship. It destroyed my relationship with my daughter. You know, I was never around on weekends. You know, it was really, really tough. So there's pros and cons, right? He got to be that well known and develop that kind of a reputation, but look at what he had to give up.
See, that's something I need to pay attention to then. I need to make sure I find a balance because, you know, if anything, this whole ordeal has put in perspective, you know, just how important my family is to me, you know, because with me working, I was over there, you know, it's a 45-minute drive to where I was going, and I was staying over there most weekends. Like they were having to come up and stay at hotels with me. And, you know, it was putting an extreme strain. So I will have to keep that in mind.
Absolutely, man. Life is all about finding balance. You know, I was having this discussion with the owner of the studio that I work at. You know, and he said, I'm all about you going and doing shows, building your own personal brand, advancing as an artist, you know, developing those skills to a better level so that you can come back, share that knowledge, and we can all advance as well. He said, I'm all about it. Like I firmly endorse it 100%. He said, but make sure that you don't forget where you live. And those words hit home, right? Because our home clientele base from where we are is what's going to sustain us through times of quarantine, for example, right?
Yeah.
I had clients of mine from this area that I work in that are saying, you know, listen, I know you're going through a rough patch right now. If you need any help financially, like I'll prepay for a tattoo now. And then, you know, if just tattoo me once we can get back to life as normal, you know, but if you need a hand, I'm more than happy to help you out right now.
Some solid stuff right there.
You know, so it's like, that's that client, that's that hardcore clientele base. That's your bread and butter, right? You can't neglect those people. That's not a good decision. But at the same time, if you never venture out and if you never travel and you never expand that network and you never expand that knowledge base, you're only going to grow to be at a certain level.
Yep.
See, that traveling part, that aspect, that's a huge thing with me. Like I know that is detrimental to like my emotional and mental well-being. My family could probably tell you how well I do when I don't get a chance to go somewhere, you know. I don't know. I did that. You guys ever heard of Chris McCandless?
Sounds
They made a movie about him called Into the Wild.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. Right.
I've been almost everywhere that kid ever went.
no shit.
By backpack and my
Wow.
2 feet. I did a lot of the same things because I went through a lot of the same things he did. I literally shucked a full scholarship and went on my knucklehead escapades, you know. We do differ in that area, but when it comes to the traveling and there's a line from the book and the movie where it says that complacency is the detriment to the human soul or something. No, it's not. I feel like I'm saying it
Sounds
wrong.
about right.
But basically, like, you know, I personally know that I need that opportunity to see a different, you know, sunrise. I need opportunity to see a different, you know, group of people from time to time, you know, in order to be okay.
Right. Absolutely. You know, if we don't travel and we don't get out there and we don't experience new things, we don't see that sunrise from the West Coast, you know, and we don't see the sunset in Arizona or New Mexico or Texas. if we never see the sunrise from the coast of Florida, right? Then that's a part of us that we're never going to get, we're never going to realize. You know, we won't know, we might see pictures of it, but we
Won't do it
won't know what
justice.
it's like, right? Like I've had the opportunity to go to Europe a few times. I've stood in the Colosseum, you know, where people used to fight to the death, right? That was, I've walked down the streets of Rome where people have been walking for thousands of years. You know, that's like another level of true appreciation just for being around, you know?
Man,
And
the art
I've
over
had
there.
that privilege of experiencing that, and it changed me every time I traveled to somewhere new. So I always tell people, get out there, see the world as much as you can. Well, it kind of comes back to the old adage, right? Of get your appetite anywhere you want, but always go home for dinner.
Yeah, that's perfect, dude.
You know,
It's right.
go out there, learn, visit,
I like that.
experience,
Yeah.
but make sure that you come back, you know, to where you have your roots grounded.
Home base.
Exactly.
So my wife keeps telling me, this is your home base. Do
Yeah.
what you got to do.
Doesn't mean that you can't travel. Doesn't mean that you can't go and experience and be around other artists. You know, it doesn't mean that you can't go see and do different things. Just make sure you come back home.
Yeah.
You know, and it's something I've become very, very heavy on in this past 2 or 3 years. You know, when I started to realize how strong of a clientele base I had at home and how they were diehard people that, you know, say I picked up and moved to Illinois to go and work with Ricardo. Not that I would ever subject him to that in actual life, because I know he can only stand to be around me for small periods of time.
You mean
But
24/7?
say I decided to do that, right? These people would willingly be willing to travel out just to get another tattoo.
Killer.
You know, that's how awesome they are as clients. You know, I don't know if they would fly internationally just to get tattooed by me, but I mean, everyone's got their limits to an extent. You know, but when I started to realize that, it was eye-opening, man. And it's like I started to really become invested in the area that I live and respect those clients that I have at home. Doesn't mean that I don't want to go and work at the Brussels Tattoo Convention with Ricardo. You know, it means I'm going to, and I'm going to enjoy my time over there, but I'm going to come back home.
Yeah.
You know, and this is my home base. This is my home area. This is where I plan on returning to after every single trip I go on.
And all those skills you pick up from all the people you meet from all over the world, you get to bring those back to those people that you're tattooing in that small little place.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
It's that knowledge gained that you won't ever achieve unless you travel and you go and see and do. Right. I was having this discussion with another artist up in Canada last weekend. You know, it's that experience of being in different areas, of, you know, meeting artists that have traveled the world, you know, guys that were maybe born in Brazil and moved to Europe, or guys that were born in Japan and moved to Australia, guys that, you know, were born in Canada, moved to the US and then back again. You know, these are all different experiences that we all have, and they all shape our perspective in life.
Yeah.
And that affects the way that we see the world around us. And those skills that we acquire from those travels are what makes us as artists. You know, going and watching Troy Temple paint a whole door, using, I think he was using Kurosumi black ink at a tattoo convention. You know, holding 2 brushes in his hand so that they were offset, right? And I would watch him do a little bit of paint with this guy, and then he would wash it out with this guy, and then he would do a little bit more paint, and then he would wash it, you know, and he did an entire door in maybe an hour. And it was a huge traditional design, but it was inspiring getting to see that knowledge. even though I just picked up how he was holding his brushes, completely changed the way that I looked at things. And I started to take that home and try that out and started to understand why he was doing it that way. You know, little things like that can make a world of difference in how we do things and what we do and why we do them. You know, so travel, by all means, do it. You know, but make sure that you have somewhere to take those skills back to.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, Jason. Like it.
Appreciate y'all taking time to talk to me, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
man.
anytime, man. We do this every Sunday and we're always looking for people to jump on. You are always
Yeah,
welcome.
man. I'll actually put stuff on my calendar and everything so that I actually get a like advanced warning. Like a
Well, dude,
alarm
if
or
you
something.
want, just send me a message on the community, man, and I'll start sending you direct links to the Zoom every time. And then that way you can just jump straight into the Zoom.
All right, yeah, yeah, for sure. Yep,
Awesome.
can do that.
Yeah, we love conversations like this, dude. This is exactly what goes on behind the scenes that, you know, a lot of us as tattoo artists don't get to talk, the opportunity to talk about all the time. You know what I mean? There's a lot of investment involved, man. Emotional, physical, like you're talking about with your family and stuff. You know, my kids are grown now, so I'm just now getting back to it where I started to travel for that exact reason. You know what I mean? And reaching out and stuff like that too. Like I was so focused on that whole aspect of my life at the time. Now that they're grown, it's like they're doing their own thing. Now it's time for me to kind of branch out too, you know?
Yeah.
I was going to say, Ricardo, we're still kind of waiting for you to grow up, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Hey, man, something's to be said for Toys R Us kids.
Yo, truth. And the youth today will never know the glory of walking into that place.
I know, right?
That was so amazing, wasn't it?
Dude, it was everything you have ever wanted in life in one store.
It was the real life, like Willy Wonka, but for toys, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Kids today will never know that.
No, I know. I just like bulldozed the one around me the other day. It's pretty crazy. I'm pretty sure I shed a little tear.
Right?
A little grown man.
Understandable. Let's all just take a moment of silence for Jeffrey the giraffe. Is that his name? I think that actually is his name.
I think it was, yeah.
Nailed it,
dude. That was completely in the subconscious right there.
Yeah.
Man.
Bravo. Bravo.
And lightning.
Guess I do got some brain cells left.
Cool. I think you got more than you give yourself credit for.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't know if my wife would agree with you half the time, but I'll take it.
Well, I'm not saying we use them all the time. I'm just saying we do.
Okay. They're there. They might just be watching, huh? Spectators.
Yeah, sometimes they just like to be spectators.
Yeah. Checks out. Checks out. So what's your guys' next event, man? Like what y'all got coming up?
Well, Ricardo and I were planning on starting an OnlyFans pretty soon, so I think we were going to get together for a few photo shoots. But
I'll tag mine then.
oh yeah, dude,
Yeah,
I'll totally. We'll do a cross promotional thing.
Okay.
We'll get some special, shirts and stuff made up for it.
Absolutely.
Oh my god, dude! I just had the best idea. Getting like convention or studio shirts made that just say "Follow me on OnlyFans" on the back.
Nice, dude. Perfect.
That would be hilarious. They'd probably sell out.
Oh, dude, without a question. Now we've got Gettysburg coming up the second weekend of July.
Yep.
That's going to be a fun one. Just got hit up from a friend of mine named Devin. I actually interviewed him back in January. And put that should be available on the community or the YouTube. But I got to sit down and interview him. He tattooed me at the Puerto Rico show a couple years ago.
Nice.
And it was a mind-blowing experience for me just watching his process. He's going to be there. A couple other people that I've met along the way will be there. There's going to be a pretty decent amount of local people, but there will be some people from different places as well.
Well, we'll be working on
that. Could be a good one.
We'll be working on what's his name, Ruben, right?
Yep. the collaborative back piece with Ruben.
Yeah.
That's going down on Saturday at noon, I believe.
Yep. I'm excited about getting back into that one, man. I can't wait.
I know, dude. And you know, it's not that much area that we have left to cover, so we should be able to knock most of it out, if not all of it.
Isn't that incredible? This is his kid's second session, and he's gonna have almost a complete back piece, man. It's
I know,
amazing.
right?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna break out the 45 mags, man.
So say yes.
We'll finish the whole tattoo in like 20 minutes.
What are you
go.
pushing 45s with? I'm just curious.
Flux.
Yeah.
Really?
I've pushed them with a Flux. I've pushed them with a Zion, Injecta, Flight Nano, Cheyenne, Solnova.
See, that's what I've got. I've got the Sol Nova 3.5.
Yeah, I have the plug-in one. It's not the wireless one, but
That's right.
I used to push 35 and 45 mags with that like butter. You know,
I just
it all
hadn't thought
depends.
about trying to use them because I wasn't sure if it would even be worth, me buying them if we wouldn't push
well,
them.
I mean, it all depends on your technique.
Yeah.
Right now, there's only one company I know of that actually makes them in cartridge form, right? A lot of other places that I've met will still make them. They'll still sell them, but you can only buy them needle on bar. Cartridge form, there's only one company I know of. And I mean, they're nice, but they've got quite a bit of a radius on them. And that's not exactly what I look for in a curved mag. I do believe that after, a certain size mag, you need to have at least a little bit of a radius on it just to accommodate the amount of pressure you're putting on the skin to ensure even penetration across the board. That way you don't get like the corner needle marks that you'll see if you're using like a super big mag and you're trying to cover a lot of area. A lot of times you'll see the corners of those mags that dig in, and you'll see streaky lines around the side, because when your skin bends, it bends in an arc. It doesn't bend in a flat square line. So that was the only like critique that I have about them, is that they have almost too much of a radius on them. So you get a very, very soft edge. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, you can pack solid color with them if you know what to do, if you know the right techniques to use, and you know the right way to hold your machines and hand motions, and everything's in sync and the tattoo gods are smiling on you that day. You can pack solid color with those things.
Really?
But it takes some experience to get used to it, right? Because you're covering a massive amount of area.
So it's a pretty pronounced difference between the, length of the center as opposed to the corner needles. That's what you're saying as far as the radius?
It's got a very big curve on the end of that curved mag. So that configuration is almost like, it's.
So half the time you're not even getting any action from your edge.
Right. So if this is like the mag itself, right? This is your standard flat mag.
Yeah.
And you've got, for anything over a certain size, you're probably going to want to have at least a little bit of a bow. Otherwise, these two corners are going to dig in further.
Yeah.
Because your skin, and if this is your skin, right? And you go to put those tattoo needles down, you're going to have a little bit of pressure in the skin, right? So it's going to arc down. Well, when you are using such a huge mag, you're covering a surface area, right? Instead of covering, say this much area, you're now covering this much area. So the amount of surface tension that you have is going to be way bigger.
Yeah.
But since your skin does not bow at a straight angle, you have to have a little bit of a radius to ensure accurate penetration as your skin bends down with pressure. So my problem is that instead of it having a slight arc,
so big,
the ones that I've been buying are really curved.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was thinking.
So you're going to get a nice soft edge to it, which is nice if you want to do really soft gradients in like huge areas. But if you're really trying to pack color, you only need a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Just enough to prevent those corner needles from digging in. Unless you're trying to do very soft photorealistic black and gray over an absolutely ridiculous area. Which in that case, yeah, by all means, go with something like that because that's going to be your best bet. But, you know, like I said before, if you know the right techniques, you can pack solid color using a curved mag like this.
I've never ran nothing that big.
Dude, I love pulling out the big
27s are my
boys.
biggest.
I love pulling out big boys.
Yeah, they're awesome. I've never really, you know, and Jason, like we were talking about before, the curve mags is a new thing for me, man. I've never really found too much problems on those corners with a flat mag that size either.
I think 7s are the only ones I'm still using flats. Everything else I have is curved.
Yeah, I'll use 7s and 9.
I like
9 straight mags, but anything over, say, an 11 mag, I'm a firm believer needs to have a radius. You know, Ricardo's gotten very good at using straight mags that are 15, 19, etc. But for me, I like to have that on there. That way I know I'm not going to get any corner marks. But yeah. Ricardo also likes to work off of the corner of his mags a lot.
And I do miss that corner sometimes, man, because I used to line off my corners. But that's, I mean, I do that with my 7s. But yeah, there are times where I'm like, man, I really wish I had that corner needle.
Right, just to kind of get in that edge, that little yeah. V spot, right? Those like tight little corners, yeah.
One last time I don't have to switch to the other needle.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, but I agree with you guys. I've started using the curved mags, and I think recently I used the 23 curved mag and
23s.
This black and gray crow that I did on this kid's forum, and I primarily ended up using just that almost for the whole thing. Like even in spaces where I would have used like an 11 flat mag or something like that, you know what I mean? And I was able to get into some of the tighter edges with it too. So it was pretty eye-opening for me for sure. I like it.
You can still pull off the corners. It's just it seems like it's a lot softer now. Like you can build it up a little easier as opposed to coming in there and getting that line.
Right. Exactly.
Then again, I used to know a guy that, well, not used to, but I still know a guy. I still keep in contact with him. This dude has some of the cleanest, most solid, most incredible line work I've ever seen in my life. And it's huge, like, you know, 3/8 inch thick, solid black lines that he's using for like back pieces and sleeves. And these lines are incredibly big. And he uses curved mag for all of it. I still don't know how he does it. I don't. It's a mystery to me. I think the guy is just a magical creature. You know, casting spells and being a wizard and shit. But I mean, I've watched him use nothing but mags and outlined and shaded an entire sleeve.
It's incredible, man.
I definitely feel like I save so much more time if I go in with my mag first.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you know, I save so much time.
Yeah,
blocking those values, blocking that shading, blocking those edges, and then go back through and refine it later.
Yeah. And it's a painter's approach, you know? It's a painter's approach. I did it on this kid, the same tattoo. That's the first time I've done it that large scale before. And he was just like, what's going on there? I'm like, don't sweat it, dude. It's not going to look like chicken scratch, I promise you.
Yeah.
Like, listen, there's a method to the madness. You don't need to understand it, but you need to have faith.
Yeah, have faith, exactly. We had a conversation about that for like good 30 minutes, just about that idea of, you know, that first step over that little edge, man. Just be cool. It's all good. We're gonna arrive at the same thing.
Do you guys freehand much? You guys do marker on scan?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys ever have issues with trying to relay the marker image to the client? Like you guys ever had, I mean, obviously you guys are, hold on.
A lot of good questions, a lot of good comments from Casey, man. This is great.
Absolutely, man.
Okay.
These are the kinds of questions I love.
Exactly.
You guys ever have any issues with being able to relay like faith in your drawing to what it's going to be?
To the client?
Yeah, to the client. I mean, is that just a salesman issue that because I've never really had an issue until this, like last week, and I literally freehanded the same thing on her friend's foot right in front of her, and then drew it on her foot. And I think she just didn't want a tattoo to begin with. And that's what my wife was saying, that she'd heard her over, a couple times saying she just didn't want a tattoo. Yeah. But I think her friend was paying for it, and, a little bit of pressure may have been involved. But, like she had no faith in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
that to me just sounds like hesitation on the whole thing itself. Exactly. It doesn't sound like anything, it doesn't sound like a lack of faith in your artistic abilities. It sounds like hesitation on
faith in her idea to get it. Yeah. See, that's okay. Because I've never really had an issue.
I don't do a whole lot of freehand. I prefer to stencil everything. That way I can work out all the kinks and issues in advance, because I'm also kind of neurotic with certain things. So I'll redraw something 9 times if I have to. But then when the image is done, it's stencil ready, set, and slap it on and go. It's just a more efficient way for me to do things, because I'm usually pretty slow at getting things drawn and sketched and developed. So I like to do a lot of that on the back end. But if I have to do that on skin itself, it's like, I feel like I'm just wasting time, right? I feel like, while I'm drawing that on, I could actually just be tattooing it and being done and moving on to the next one. But that requires advanced knowledge of what you're doing. And that can get really kind of tricky, because sometimes people don't know what they actually want until they show up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, I definitely do both. I'm, a firm proponent in being able to create something on Procreate and then print it out and having that stencil. I got the inkjet, set up with the Canon, or no, it's brother in it. Anyway, I also like doing the freehand, because I actually feel like I'm getting to draw and things organically happen sometimes when I'm doing stuff on different body parts, that if I was just looking at my screen, I may not have done it that way. Right. Point in being, I had this girl come in about 2 weeks ago, and she just wanted a snake on her arm. She came in with this wonderful Pinterest picture, that we all love. And it was a snake that, hey, it was, technically done well. I didn't really care for the way that they did it, because from one angle, you're only going to see the snake's butt. All right. You're only going to see a little part coming over here, and you just killed a whole area that you could have put a whole nother tattoo or incorporated something else that gave more flow. A lot of things could happen. So what I did is I sat there and I started drawing the snake on. Okay. And ended up using the bulge in her wrist bone for the ridge in the snake's head. And I did the entire tattoo without looking at a reference snake, which I know you are going to say, why wouldn't you look at a reference snake? I did look at reference snakes the day before. Okay. I seen multiple different reference snakes that I liked, but I didn't find one that I loved. You know what I mean? I saw aspects in different ones that I wanted to incorporate. And I don't even know if there is a snake that is the snake that I made. But it took me about 30 minutes to draw it on her. Okay. And then it took me about roughly 4 hours to tattoo it. Okay. Charged girl $450 before we started. As I'm going to wrap her up, she hands me $800. Okay. Now my brain instantly goes to change for 500. Okay. And about that point I froze because you can't pull 50 from 800 and it equal for, you know what I mean? And that's
Right,
when I
right.
realized she was tipping me $350. Okay. And I've been tipped before, and I literally just met that girl that day. And yeah, we had interacted, and it was a great experience, and she loved watching me do it. Like, she was real firm, like she hadn't never got a freehand tattoo before. So she gives me that $350, and we go up to the front, and I'm stoked. This is one of my higher tips I've ever got, and it's not necessarily, it was for doing some, well, here, let me put what she said. I had her tell one of the other guys, because I wasn't sure if they were going to believe me, that she tipped me $350. I've only been in the shop for less than a month. I figured they would assume I was undercutting and trying to keep money. So I made sure, yeah. So I made sure, I was like, would you please tell him what you just tipped me? And she's like, I just tipped him $350. And he looked at her and he's like, why? And she's like, I came in here with an idea and a picture that I found on the internet. He sat down with a yellow and a red marker and drew a snake on my arm that I am absolutely in love with. It looks real. And he did that on his own accord without looking at anything. That is art to me. And you know what I got told?
What?
I should have
Don't
done
do
it
it again?
faster because they would have got more money. No, I got told that I should have tattooed it faster because he would have got a bigger cut.
Oh man.
If I'm lying, I'm dying, man. My wife was there. Like,
Man.
but that's one of the reasons I like freehanding. I like my patterns, don't get me wrong. I definitely feel like I pull off some more technical things when I'm using a pattern. But there's something about freehanding that comes organically that I don't want to completely step away from.
Yeah, that's the experience you're talking about. You know what I mean? That's that moment that she didn't understand it. That's fantastic.
I think to address your earlier question, one thing that I've started to do whenever I do draw on people sometimes, as far as like backgrounds and things of that nature. One thing I've started to do more recently is I'll go through and draw it on with Sharpie. And then there's a way that, as long as you don't let that Sharpie fully dry right off the bat, you can actually smudge it with your glove, or like a little bit of rubbing alcohol on the tip of a paper towel. You can smudge that in and kind of show them a rough idea of what it's going to look like once it's like shaded or colored or anything of that nature. So
I don't know if
can be
that'll
kind
work
of
with the I use these alcohol markers. I don't know if I can smear them like that, but I'll try.
As long as they don't dry completely immediately.
Yeah, these things,
away
once
with
they touch the skin, it's there.
Okay.
That was one of the things I liked about them, because I didn't have any smearing or anything in the process of doing the tattoo.
Maybe
Right.
maybe you could use those if you solidify your outline with them. Like after you smudge with Sharpie, you can go back in and start doing the outline with those markers.
Might try that. Might try that.
Yeah, I'll use a 3-tier marker system. I'll start off with a water-based marker,
Okay.
very light yellow or an orange or something like that. Then I'll go back through and I'll use like a red or a lighter or medium blue alcohol-based marker over top of that.
Okay.
And then I've been known to go back through, and I actually have a bottle of this stuff. It's called Knox Violet. And I've picked up some eyebrow brushes, or eyeliner brushes that girls will use to do like eyeliner. You can get like a big old bag of like 150 of them. They're very thin.
Yeah, I'm
brush
pretty
tips.
sure my daughter has about 1,000 of them.
Yeah. I'll use one of those and I'll dip it into the Knox Violet. I'll pour that out in a tiny little ink cap, right? And I'll dip into that, and then I'll actually paint on the outline with that.
Wow.
So it's a 3-step, 3-tier process as I'm going through.
That'd be a pretty cool video to watch.
It's
just saying.
Pretty awesome, man. I do it a lot for like waves, Japanese waves, wind bars, things of that nature. I
Okay.
love drawing that stuff on, so it's way more organic. You know, I try to work out and have a better idea of what I'm looking for in the beginning, but like I'll throw that primary subject matter on, and then if it's a half sleeve, I'll just draw the rest of that stuff in.
Okay.
Like that's one of the few times that I will do freehand stuff. But you know, once again, because it takes me so long to go through all 3 levels and all 3 layers of that, I really start to feel like after I'm you know, halfway through painting in that violet outline, which by the way, Nox Violet is amazing stuff. It's absolute, it's dark. It's just like a thermal copy, only it's liquid.
Really?
Yeah,
have to look
absolutely
it up.
incredible stuff. Yeah, I think it's like
I wonder if I could
10
use
or
this.
15 bucks a bottle, something like that. You can get it through Painful Pleasure. It's good stuff.
So if I had like a
Um,
quill pen, could I use it like a dip?
You could theoretically. I mean, I wouldn't recommend using a quill pen on someone's skin,
Well,
but
no, I mean something along those lines though.
absolutely.
Like even like a toothpick would
Yeah,
work.
you could
Those
use
are
a
disposable.
toothpick. You could even buy a pack of like disposable liner brushes, like super cheap ones on Amazon. I know some
I
people
use.
that'll use those to paint on stencils, you know, and they'll just
Yeah.
throw those out afterwards
I might have to look
because
into that.
they're $2-3 or not even a piece. And
You know,
you can really paint things on. Pretty
yeah, and you
cool.
can kind of cut them at an angle too. Like they're so cheap, you know, you can just take the bristles and cut them at a little bit of an angle, so it gives you that sharper, tapered edge for lining and stuff like that too.
Yep. Yeah,
All
so
right,
that's a
I'll check
really
that
good
out.
way to do it.
Yeah,
See, learn new things every day.
all the time.
There's all kinds of little tricks out there. Like I was talking to our friend Larry the other day, and you know, I was talking to him. He's like, "Oh, well, what machines have you been using and all this stuff?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know, well, I like a little bit of a beefier grip." So I bought the EXO right before like the whole scandal came out. So I'm like, well, money's already in, like shit. But I bought that because it had this big, chunky, beefy grip to it. And like, I got tiny hands anyway, but I still like to make them a little bit bigger. And I was like, you know, so I'll take that and I'll even wrap paper towels around that. And he's like, what? I'm like,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
well, I put the grip of death on my machine grips, right? And if you don't have something to cushion that, it's going to change the way that that machine runs. So what I'll do is I'll wrap, you know, 1 or 2 paper towels around it just to give it some cushion so that as I'm squeezing the life out of this grip, it's not going to affect the way that that machine runs. I started doing that when I was using coils, and it was an immediate game changer. You know, those little disposable foam grips that you can put over top, the whole 9, they were a complete game changer. And then I'm like, why am I paying for these foam grips?
Yeah,
Use paper towels. I have those on hand anyway. I might as well. And I've never looked back. It saves me on Scentsy wrap. It saves me on, you know, just about everything, man. I know some people that'll use like a whole roll of Scentsy wrap per grip, like per tattoo. And I'm like, that's too much for me, man. Like nope, won't do that. That's way too expensive for my blood. I'm cheap, dude. Like I'll throw a couple of paper towels in there and then cover it with Scentsy wrap. Cool. But like, don't expect me to use more than like a couple of wraps of that Scentsy wrap stuff, man.
Well, you know, and it's almost kind of the same thing whenever we use these coils, and you can use the rubber grommets if you want to, the rubber nipples if you wanted to. But, you know, I always found it was better to like fold up a corner edge of a paper towel a few times and then just my armature bar. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
same thing. It serves the same purpose. It's like, you know, what is it? The necessity is the mother of invention, right? And you find out what works for you. So, yeah. I agree, Jason. I like using the paper towels too, man. And like just fold them, take 2 of them, fold them into a half, and then go into the thirds after that. You know what I mean? Just kind of wrap it up around it real tight.
Yep.
You can even make it to where it like tapers down towards the top of the machine even. This is what I like to do. So
That's a good way to do it. Although I do like having a little bit of that ledge there for my finger to sit on. So it kind of feels like it's being
I like the
supported.
lead.
Yeah.
right. No, I don't mean like towards the cartridge. I mean towards the back of the machine, like more towards your hand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, the edge is good too. I like that too, man. Just like rest it right in there.
Yeah, dude.
So I feel like I'm a minimalist when it comes to wrapping my machine because I literally run a clip cord cover all the way down it, fold it over, wrap my athletic tape around for where the grip is, just so I don't have no slipping, and it holds the fold over down,
Right.
puncture my hole, and then I twist the other end and tape that down. And now I have a fully covered machine
Right.
with like maybe 2 inches of tape on it. 3 inches.
Yeah.
But now that you're talking about that paper towel, man, maybe I should try out just a little bit of paper towel, see if it does change the way that machine runs. Because I hadn't thought about the way that I hold it. I don't know if I death grip it like you're saying, but on the off chance that I do and it is affecting the way it runs, I would like to know that.
It's incredible when you start to do that and you actually realize that the amount that you're squeezing down on it,
Yeah.
just how much it can affect the efficiency of that machine, because it's causing that motor to work even harder, right? Whether it's absorbing the vibration or just not allowing it to run quite as freely. I don't really know the science behind that part of it, but I do know that it does affect the way that that machine runs. And it doesn't matter if it's, a cartridge machine, a coil machine, a rotary machine. It's absorbing some of the momentum or vibration, or it's doing something, but it does not run the same if you really squeeze the crap out of it, right? So I had to find a way to avoid doing that so that my machine would run more true. And I mean, it works. It works well.
I'll
Highly
try
recommend it
anything,
out
man.
there for anyone.
I'm willing to, at least.
I will say the only time that I might not do that quite so much is if I'm really trying to make it so that my machine's running a little bit softer, right? So that doesn't have quite the harsh impact. Then, I'll actually use my death grip on my machine to help control that. So by not putting on as many paper towels and squeezing the crap out of it like I normally do, it's going to make it run a little bit softer. Sometimes that's what I'm looking for, but it's all up to the individual. But I think a lot of it also has to do with paying attention and being self-aware of what we're doing. The more that you can become self-aware of the things that you're doing that will affect the outcome of that tattoo,
XYZ.
the more that you can accurately control those variables.
Makes sense. I hadn't really thought about that, about the grip in it, but till you just said
Give it a shot, man. I think you'll like it. If you like a bigger grip, something a bit more substantial to hold on
yeah,
to.
the Soul Nova, I mean, it's pretty fat.
Now imagine taking 3 paper towels and wrapping it around that. That's what I used to do with that thing, man. I loved it. It was like this perfect little ball that you could hold in your hand.
I'll try it, man.
Yeah, just see if you like it, man.
If for nothing else, the picture of me holding it.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, dude, I know a guy that he rocks an Injecta Flight Nano with like the click grip and all that stuff. He'll take no less than 5 paper towels, fold that into quarters, and throw that around the click grip. And then he uses like a half a roll of Sensi wrap over top of that. And his grip is absolutely enormous. It looks like a soda can.
I don't know how I feel. That might be too much, man. Like I'm a technical drawing kind of dude, like graphite and stuff like that. So I'm used to using you know, small diameter pencils and stuff. I mean, I don't know, it might be a little too big.
Well, I mean, everyone's got their own preference, but like I said, until
The
you
three,
try it, you
I'll
don't know
try
if you
the
like
three. I'll try a 3. The Coke
Well,
can
try-
might be a little too big.
try 2 because 1's not really going to do too much. Try 2 paper towels at first.
Yeah.
See if you like it.
All right.
If you
I'll try
don't like that, well, then you probably won't like using more.
Better use 2.
Yeah,
You
at
know,
least,
so,
at least try
but
it
I
out.
mean, it also depends. If you don't have a death grip on your machine anyway, there's
I
really
hadn't
no
really
need
paid
to even try
attention
it.
until you mentioned it, but now I'm going to pay attention.
Yeah, dude, just take a look, man. It can be an absolutely incredible thing when you're like, wow, I'm really gripping this thing with my life.
I feel like I might do that when I'm lining.
That's when most people do it.
If there's a time, because I know I'm not like that when I'm shading, because I'm super freehand, you know, I'm real open. But maybe when I'm lining, I'll have to check that out.
You do.
My wife says I do. So
Nice.
There you go.
Pay attention.
Okay. You know what, man? Not only that, Casey, but it also helps with like the ergonomics, and it keeps a lot of tension off your wrists. If you can,
Yes.
if you can get comfortable with it, and you vary the size from time to time, it keeps your muscles from staying in that same position that you always use repetitively. That's going to prevent carpal tunnel.
See, I wouldn't have thought of that either.
Yeah,
Changing up the size. Because I'm
Yeah,
so
that's-
like ingrained in trying to make things exactly the same every time that I hadn't, but the grip, yeah, that makes sense. Because I do have issues, you know. Knucklehead years kind of messed up my hands a little bit.
Yeah, man. The pass always
For
comes
me,
up
it was
a little
using
bit.
a 12-ounce brass machine that kind of screwed up my wrists.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it, man. I had a couple
those
Mickey
things-
Sharps that weren't too light.
Yep.
solid brass machines, man. They're magical, but they take a toll. Like,
Well, I understand why people used to use them, right? Because brass in and of itself as a metal is actually self-sterilizing.
that's
Right.
what I was gonna say.
So if germs, bacteria, viruses, anything like that gets on brass, it will die. And it's just one of the magical properties of that metal, right? Same thing with copper. There's a reason why plumbing pipes are made out of copper. Copper is self-sterilizing, you know, which is genius that someone actually figured that out. And knowing that brass is a copper alloy, it maintains that same property. So it's incredible when you see that and when you can apply that knowledge to different things. The problem is the weight of brass sitting on your hand for so many hours, just it strains your wrists so much, man. It's terrible. But actually the Numa 4 came out, and I actually might pick that one up for my next machine. But that one, you can get that one with a big solid brass grip. And apparently it's incredible. It's amazing, but it also weighs like 10 ounces, you know. But if that's most of the weight and most of the weight is in your hand, then all right, cool. Maybe I can see that. But it would be interesting to try that.
Yeah, killer. Hey, man, I'm gonna get going. This has been a great
on,
session,
Ricardo.
Jason.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
agree,
appreciate
man.
talking
We've been
to y'all,
getting tons
man.
of comments.
What's up?
I said there have been a lot of people in the YouTube chat that have been saying, like, you know, this was a great show and they're so motivated. You know, it's, yeah, from all the feedback I've been getting, this has been a great episode. So
It's always good hanging out with you, man. I always appreciate it.
likewise. By the way, Ricardo, don't forget to check my OnlyFans. I've got an update coming out later tonight.
You got a new care package on there, do you?
Oh yeah, baby. New
I want one of them
VIP, but you got to
shirts
pay
at
for that
Gettysburg.
separately.
Yeah.
You
We're
gonna
gonna
have
get
them shirts done?
Gettysburg. Yeah. It'll say the Gettysburg surprise on it.
Yeah, the Gettysburg surprise. I got an Abe Lincoln hat we can use.
Hey.
Oh, what?
Hey, I am 6'10", man. We can go somewhere with this. Who wants to be Mary Todd?
Oh, good God.
I don't think there's really much of a choice there. I think that it comes down to me. I mean, Ricardo and I have both dressed up, and we agreed I look better in a dress.
Oh man. Oh,
I can see the bonnet. Yeah, my wife was the Mad Hatter at Gettysburg 2 years ago.
Nice.
Really? That's
I was
awesome.
what? Did I breathe fire there?
No,
No, I didn't.
that's what you
I might come up there just to come up there.
Yeah, man.
But
Dude, you're more than welcome to, man.
well, that other shop's gonna be there too. They're gonna have their mobile unit outside. So I don't know. I may just avoid conflict.
You know what?
I may come up anyway because I want to see Lisa. Lisa's up that way.
Dude, you're more than welcome to, man. You guys are always welcome to stop by, say hi, chit chat. I think Ricardo and I are going to be doing some live webcasting Saturday and Sunday. So, you know, getting in that live is, you know, sitting down with you, maybe doing like an interview or something. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, if you
Oh
make
no,
it
man,
great,
I'm pretty shy. I ain't very good at talking to people I don't know.
really, you know, I never would have known.
It's been a fluke.
Totally had me
Yeah.
fooled. That's for sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure, man. Maybe I'll come up there and get one of them goldfish you got going on.
There you
Well, I
go.
also have dragons, flowers, and I'm also thinking about drawing up a snake.
Snake.
Dang.
I do have a split tongue.
Do
Wow.
you? That's awesome. Dude. What?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's my sideshow husband.
Yeah. A little bit.
That's awesome. There used to be a guy up in Philly who used to do side shows. He was called the Great Nippolini.
The Great Nippolini.
Yeah, this guy used to pick up and move cinder blocks using his nipple piercings.
Yikes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I didn't ever ask him what else he could do or had pierced because I didn't want to know. But he was known for, I think he said he could lift something like 60 pounds using his nipple piercings alone.
Oh wow.
No, I'm good.
I could probably do that with my ears. I feel like I could do it with my ears.
No. Don't even.
Not that I would try.
I mean, I could lift that much with my ego, but I mean, it's kind of hard to measure and get that attached. So
Yeah. You have to use some of them 3M hooks, man.
oh, I know, right?
Yeah, they stick to anything.
Right on.
All right, man. Well, it was a pleasure talking to y'all.
Yeah, likewise.
I'll send you a message, Jay.
I was going to say, why don't we go through? It's just the three of us. Why don't we go through and do a quick sign off? Casey, we'll start with you. Let us know how we can reach you. And, you know, if you got an Instagram, what's your Instagram? And people want to get tattooed by you, let us know how.
Everything's through Casey Lee Tattoos. I'm on Instagram. I haven't put nothing up on Instagram forever. Most of the stuff I put on Facebook. I was streaming on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, but I'm having some issues with copyright and music. So once I get that worked out, I'll be back to streaming. As far as where I'm going to be tattooing at, I'm actually going over to talk to a couple people here probably right after I get off the phone and deciding where that's going to be occurring home base wise. But yeah, that's what's going on with me. Appreciate y'all for tuning in.
Hey man, we'd love to have you on next Sunday as well. We've been getting a lot of great comments, people specifically asking for more of you on here. So
all right.
Yeah.
No
So
problem,
I mean, you're
man.
kind of roped in now. You don't really have a choice.
Okay. All right. My wife seems to think that's you.
Set it in the calendar, man.
Yep.
All right, man. I will. She'll keep me on it. She's the best when it comes to that stuff.
That's awesome, man. Love
Yeah.
to hear that.
All right, man. Well, I hope y'all have a wonderful day.
Likewise. Take care, Casey.
Take it
You
easy.
too.
Ricardo, give us a little sign off, man.
What's up, everybody? My name is Ricardo Sturdivant. I live in Normal, Illinois. You can find me on Instagram at Candor Tattoo. I'll be joining Jason in the next couple weeks in Gettysburg for the tattoo convention out there. What was the name of it again, Jason?
That would be the Battlefield Tattoo Expo.
Battlefield Tattoo Expo. Come on up, hang out, man, say hello, get some tattoos, or just let's have some conversation like we did today. Today was awesome. I really needed that conversation. It's been a great time, and it's always a good time hanging out with you, Jason.
Likewise, man. Likewise.
Mhm.
Cool. And I'll go through and spotlight myself. So thanks everyone for tuning in today. Great conversation today. Casey, thank you. Ricardo, as always, thank you. Wanted to thank everyone that tuned in. Also wanted to thank the Reinventing the Tattoo community for getting us all linked up and hooked up with the technology, everything of that nature. For those of you that don't know about Reinventing the Tattoo, there is a paid subscription that you can get that will give you access to one-on-one chats and drawing groups with Guy Aitchison himself. That occurs every Monday night at 9 o'clock. And I'll even give you guys a little discount code that'll help take 10% off. It's less than $1 a day anyway, but this is just another little added incentive. If you're really looking to take your work to the next level, check it out. It's absolutely mind-blowing, and we are adding new content literally at least once a month. You'll see some stuff from me in there, some stuff from a few other people, and it's really enlightening. It can really help take your artwork to the next level. So I always like to share that with people. But if anyone wants to get a hold of me, if you have ideas about topics for another show, shoot me a DM, send me an email, get in touch with me, send a carrier pigeon if you have to. Let me know, get in touch, and we'll be happy to discuss whatever you want to discuss. You can always reach out to me if you're ever interested in getting tattooed by me at Philly Inc. on Instagram. It's pretty much my handle on almost everything. I think except for Facebook. I think I'm Jason L Tattoos on Facebook. But that's, if people still use Facebook these days. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. And this is the point in time where everyone makes a goofy face or holds up a beer mug or coffee cup like I do, even though you have no idea what's in here. Yeah, smart. Yeah. But thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure, and I'll catch everyone